We're rolling.
We can't go back now.
I'll go back now. Hello everyone. This is my friend Laura.
I don't know you. I've never met you before. You've made me do this video with you.
I kidnapped you from the street. So Laura is an INFP for your sins. And for those who watch my videos, I'm an INTP. And so we're just going to talk about INTP, INFP stuff, right? So
you wrote some things down because
I did. I came up with a list.
You prepare. I don't prepare for anything.
Came up with an efficient list. So I guess we should just talk about the similarities, really. There's similarities and differences.
Yeah. I suppose we become friends because of our sense of humour is quite weird and offbeat, which I think is more to do with NE.
Yeah.
We both share that, and it's in the same place for us. It's both our second function.
So extroverted, so that's extroverted intuition, and that's our auxiliary function for INTPs and for INFPs. And just give a brief description of what extroverted intuition is.
Now everyone will know we're incompetent and we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. But I suppose extroverted intuition is more about it's more about picking up ideas and possibilities.
Yeah.
Be very abstract. I suppose extroverted intuition is very abstract. It's about picking up ideas and just very abstract. Abstract is a good word to use for that, I think.
Making connections between things as well, I think, could be NE.
Yeah.
Like, do you make really weird connections between stuff that would seem unrelated?
Yeah.
I do it, and I offend people by accident. Let's go, you're seriously not comparing that issue with this issue.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I can just see like how it relates to each other. I'm not saying it's on the same level or invalidating anyone, but I can see where things connect, even when they might not.
I suppose that's why certainly INTPs or ENTPs can go off on tangents because of their extroverted intuition. They pick up on so someone says something or talks about something, then immediately they've got an idea of how that connects to something else and where that fits into something else.
I think it's one in like newness and novelty as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's more prevalent in, say, ENFPs and ENTPs. They don't want to be bored and they don't want to be stagnant and stuff. I think we feel like that, but we're less inclined to do something about it.
Yeah, because it's our extroverted function, but it's not
a dominant one.
It's not a dominant function.
And so I have a need to do something new, and I enjoy new things, and I like the startup phase of things, like if I'm doing a project or when I start a picture that I'm drawing. It's not, and as I go along, I can easily get bored and stop doing it and then move on to something else. I don't know if you're the same with anything you do.
Yeah, well, INTPs are notorious.
Did you go through like phases?
Procrastinators. Yeah, it's like interest as well. I'll go for interest. Like, I'll spend a couple of months being obsessed with something.
Yeah, me.
And then I'll go on to something else.
I've exhausted that now.
Yeah, I think for INTPs, it's kind of less about finishing it, but more about kind of understanding something. So once we feel competent enough in something, or we know that we could do something, then we don't really need to kind of finish it. I think. So that's extroverted intuition. So so we both share that auxiliary function. Now, when it comes to our dominant functions, this is probably something that a lot of INTPs can miss, or a lot of INTPs can sometimes get mistyped as INFPs, maybe, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Because of INTP's dominant function is introverted thinking, and INFP's dominant function is introverted feeling. And according to the typology, they are both introverted judging functions. So I suppose we should just explain a little bit what that means. So for INTPs, TI, or introverted thinking, it's basically about taking ideas and just completely destroying them, breaking things down, and having that kind of internal logical consistency, that sort of subjective logic, sort of it's a system builder. Introverted judges are system builders.
It has to make sense to you personally.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
From a subjective logic point of view, it has to be logically sound to me. Whether or not it's actually logically sound is probably another thing, but
You're actually insane.
it has to make sense to me logically.
Yeah.
To my own sort of internal logic, and especially INFPs, it's some, even though we're similar because we're both system builders. So for INTPs, it's more about building an internal subjective logic, or being logically consistent to ourselves. Whereas for INFPs,
it's like a moral framework.
Or an ethical framework, isn't it?
I have very firm ideas on how people should behave, on how I should behave, and how things should be morally. But I can see how INTPs and INFPs would mistype, because INTPs do care about... I'm not saying that INTPs don't have morals. Some of them probably think, actually, I do care about how people should behave and how things should be. And as an INFP, I mistyped for years, as you know. I didn't think I was INFP because I thought I'm quite a rational person and it makes sense to me.
And you turn to the dark side.
Yeah, I considered INTP before INFP, if I'm honest. Yeah, which is probably quite surprising.
That would surprise me.
Yeah,
because
to me, like, makes sense, and I think, oh, well, this is logical to me. I must be logical.
Yeah,
because that's not how it works.
Well, INFPs are known as a logical kind of type, not in the same way as normal NT types are, but.
Well, I can be objective and impartial, and probably do quite TI things, but I can't sustain it because it's my own personal feelings. I'm very attached to how I feel about something, and I find it hard not to be biased because it's how I personally feel about something, and I see things in terms of good and bad, right and wrong, and like I can really try and be impartial, but I can't sustain it.
So I think that's quite a difference as well between INTPs and INFPs. INTPs, we have no kind of objective sense of right and wrong, how things should be. I mean, as a kind of a general rule, INTPs, probably because of our weak extroverted feeling, we always sort of, I don't like to use the word conform, but when we sort of deal with people in society, we sort of feel like we're kind of conforming, but it's not a kind of a bad thing for us. We don't sort of, it's more of a kind of a reluctance to sort of do things as society kind of expects us to do, because we've realised that in order to exist in society, we have to follow these kind of ideas of right and wrong and things like that. But to me, certainly because of our internal subjective logic, we don't see things as being right and wrong. It's always, I suppose that's why one of the stereotypes of INTPs is that they're always kind of on the fence. They're objective, observers, because they can't, or they very rarely have a strong opinion on something, because partly because we keep, from our extroverted intuition, we keep thinking, oh, there's going to be more possibilities, there's more. So that's why we don't like to kind of commit to something, to an idea, because, and that's why we play devil's advocate quite a lot, because we don't like to kind of, I suppose, come to any conclusions and say, right, this is right, this is wrong, because...
I think it's like narrowing your options too much, and NE is all about options, and I relate to that in a little bit with committing, and the path being quite narrow that I have to take. I don't know, I feel like that could make me quite depressed if I feel stuck in a rut. I don't know, that makes sense.
It can do, if the world doesn't kind of... Because I suppose that's another thing about INTPs and INFPs. As I was talking to you before, like, I think most of society seems to be catered towards ES-XJ types. Because, using the stereotypes of MBTI here, I think society tends to want us to sort of be, very kind of outgoing, to sort of, draw our energy from, our environment, from other people, because obviously that's what introverts and extroverts are. It's not necessarily how outgoing you are, but it's where you kind of draw your energy from. And obviously extroverts tend to draw their energy more from their environment around them. their physical surroundings. Often that includes people, so that's why extroverts tend to be people. I think.
I think they're better at adapting and accepting what is, and that this is just the way it is. Whereas I think people like us kind of think we've got a framework in our mind of how things should be in terms of logic or in terms of morals, and then life's not like that, and we find it hard to accept because I think I cling on to the possibility that maybe it could be that way. Whereas I think SJ types will think, well, that's not going to happen. People are never going to do what you want them to do or what they should do, and they like just adapt and just accept it.
Yeah,
which I admire in a way.
Yeah,
I think.
It's definitely right. SJs will be more like, okay, this is how it is.
Yeah.
This is reality. This is how it should be.
This is what you've got. You've got to work with what you've got, basically.
Whereas NPs, being intuitives, obviously we're kind of like, well, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, there's pros and cons of both sides. You know what I mean? If you're too much like, well, this is how it is and it'll never change. Like, you're not open to change then. But if you're too much like, oh, it could be this, it could be that, you're not living in the real world, and you'll never be like truly happy.
So I suppose like SJs could be stereotypically kind of narrow-minded, as they say, or less open-minded, stereotypically, than NP types.
I find SJs are very good though. If like you have a lot of ideas about things, they're good at telling you which ones will work. Sometimes how they could. Like, I always think of like the people like us will come up with we're the ideas guys, and they're the people who like pick the ideas and like put it into practice and actually make it a reality. So
they're the doers, aren't they? The doing types.
So
whereas we're more kind of the dreamers, aren't we?
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah,
that P.
I think we have a ton of ideas and things that we probably should accomplish and could accomplish, but we don't do it.
And again, I think that a lot of that comes down to the extroverted intuition, doesn't it? Because
weak sensing, I think.
And weak sensing, yeah. But I mean, I suppose the bad thing about extroverted intuition is that we can pick up on, we can kind of almost create like, another reality maybe, because we can see things about how things could be, how things, could be better, how, we have all these ideas and sort of, and that can create, I suppose, expectations in some ways. And we can sort of create a lot of fantasies, because we have, we can use our extroverted intuition to see how society could be better, how people could be better, how, life could be better. And I suppose when, the actual reality doesn't sort of conform to that, it can cause us, distress, I suppose, or stress. And I think it was Einstein that said imagination is better than reality. Because
it is that.
Because of that, I mean, and certainly a lot of SJ types, don't sort of have that, or don't, or much rather less inclined to kind of daydream in that sense. So INFPs and INTPs are both daydreamers in that way, because they can both kind of create these fantasies about the perfect, life, perfect relationship, perfect society. And then, when people are, sort of, the world doesn't kind of do that, it can cause us a lot of distress, I think. And it's like I was saying to you a few weeks ago about the sort of, I think INTPs and INFPs, we both kind of have it, perhaps it might be me a bit, but we both seem to have it kind of bad. In terms of,
we're less equipped for real life.
Yeah, in terms of we're the least INTPs and INFPs, because society's catered to ESXJs. We seem to be sort of less. I suppose society doesn't kind of, or for INTPs, I think society doesn't sort of live up to our own expectations of it. So we have all these expectations of how, people and society should be. Society should be more rational, people should be more rational, and INTPs sort of see the world and people as being a very irrational place, and so it doesn't sort of live up to our own expectations of it. And that's probably why one of the stereotypes of INTPs as well is that we can sort of have mini god complexes or mini superiority complexes, because because we sort of see other people as
special snowflake syndrome, I call it.
Special snowflake syndrome. Whereas I think for INFPs, it's perhaps more the case
thinking
that
morally superior to people sometimes, and why aren't people as pure and as moral as I am?
yeah,
Almost. Not that's going to make it sound really bad, but my source of frustration with the world is that people aren't doing things the way I would in terms of how you treat people and stuff like that.
they're not
And
being
who's
moral.
to say my way is the right way?
Exactly.
I could have been an evil overlord all this time and not
could.
realised it.
But
I'm thinking now, say like if society was catered to INFPs and INTPs, would we be satisfied anyway? I think we'd still find a way to be disappointed and miserable.
we'd still find a way to moan, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but like it's still not quite right.
Yeah, but I mean, certainly from what you see from INFPs, I mean, one of the, I suppose, the negative stereotypes of INFPs, and you see it quite often in.
Oh no, what's coming?
You see it, quite often in, like Facebook groups and things like that, and we've concluded that it's unhealthy INFP sort of behaviour.
It's unhealthy people who just live on the internet, and that's about it. I mean, if you spend too much time on the internet, you're going to lose touch with reality. As much as I like being on the internet and stuff, and a lot of the people who are attracted to typology systems seem to be a little bit lost. Feel like no one who values them for who they are, and they're clinging to a system that tells them you're great and you're special, and that kind of feeds them, and then they get into a community of people who are exactly the same, and nobody gets better. They stay in the same place of I'm special, and it's everybody else's fault that my life's so rubbish, and they often blame census for it because most of the population are censors. Most of the population make their life really hard, so they draw the conclusion that they hate censors and they're really depressed, and they're depressed because of censors.
So I think unhealthy INFPs can sort of become the stereotypical kind of
feeling sorry for themselves.
emo kids that just cry all the time
and not doing anything about their situation, because things only happen if you make them happen. That's what I've learned as I've got older, because I have that tendency to feel a bit sorry for myself and sulk and be quite brooding.
Blaming, it's like blaming.
Yeah, but I it's a shame, because I think INFPs, and I probably wouldn't have mistyped for so long if the image that's online was accurate. It's become that INFPs are very irrational and loose cannons and very temperamental.
It's all cookies and rainbows.
Well, the nature of FI is internal, it's reserved, it's not an expressive function at all. It's internal and private, and this whole puking your emotions over people, making posts in these groups that I feel like just ending it. Give me 10 reasons why I shouldn't, and all weird things like that.
There's certainly a lot of trigger warnings in the INFP groups, and even forums, INFP forums. You do seem.
But I think wherever you go, if it's an unhealthy group of people, like it can happen if you go to support groups for, say, you've got a condition or something, and it's a particularly badly run support group, and no one there is encouraged to move forward and learn and keep growing, and they're all just sitting there feeling sorry for themselves. There's going to be a very unhealthy environment, and I think that would happen outside of typology anyway, and it's not really a reflection on the types themselves, if that makes sense. I feel like I've got to stick up for INFPs and prove that I'm not like that.
It's as I said, certainly from my limited experience of INFPs and seeing INFPs on the internet, these obviously, it's like you said, the internet obviously generally attracts a certain type of person, and obviously if you have an unhealthy INFPs, then they will express their introvert feeling. They will express it in that way, and certainly in some ways they can become like the sort of laughing stock of the MBTI groups, because a lot of people just sort of, certainly like in the INTP groups, sometimes they kind of poke a little bit of fun in a nice way, because INTPs tend to be nice.
Of course.
They tend to sort of sometimes poke a little bit of fun out of the whole cookies and rainbows, and it's all feelings and stuff. And
I suppose like the stereotype of NTs on the internet is that they're trolls, and merciless.
And that we're cold and
Yeah,
emotionally unexpressive.
because a lot of the people it attracts, it would type as NT, an NT type, young lads who go on. I don't know what the sites are now. I'm a bit out of touch, but it was like 4chan and whatever.
Oh yeah, 4chan,
yeah, they're on that.
Reddit. And whatnot,
yeah,
Reddit,
and then like they just recycle these memes constantly that are offensive. Yeah. And that's not to say all NTs are like that.
No.
Like,
there's definitely a difference between INTPs and INTJs. I think certainly on the Facebook groups, the INTP groups tend to be very.
They're non-confrontational, whereas INTJs don't. I think they would be alright with confrontation, and sometimes do say something that would cause it.
The INTP groups on Facebook are just funny, really.
Yeah.
There's never any.
It's not a particularly serious atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that's kind of INTP's nature. That they don't tend to. Serious. They don't tend to take things too seriously, or most things in society too seriously. They don't take their own. Sometimes their own feelings and their own personal things they can take quite seriously. But I do think, INTPs and INFPs, we do share that kind of feeling of detachment from society. And I've probably been more inclined to say INFPs kind of have it worse in that way.
Yeah. I think though, when you're the type of person who's quite emotionally thin-skinned and very focused on your own personal sentiments and feelings, you take everything really personally and you kind of do it to yourself. I mean, I grew up like that and everything was very personal, it's very sensitive. Whereas now I'm older, my life's a lot better now and easier because now I've realised not everything's about me. Not everything's personal.
It's not all about you. It's all about you.
No, but like if somebody was like snapped at me, I'm very sensitive to how they were and that anger they showed, and I think I've done something. That's my fault. I've done something, and I'd think it's all about me. Taking it very personal because the first thing that comes to my mind is it's a very internal thing. It's like how I feel about that display of emotion.
The introvert feeling.
Yeah, and I think. In a way, you've got to take responsibility for it. Society isn't really catered to people of my type, but I also was making it hard for myself in a way.
Yeah.
I think at INFP, you can see that they've really grown and developed when they're learning to not take things so personally. And to just let things go and not overthink it in the head, like that person shouldn't have acted like that, that's not how people are supposed to be, that wasn't morally right, or that's violated my values or whatever.
You've violated my principles. How very dare you. But yeah, I mean, it's a similar sort of thing for INTPs.
Yeah.
Well, with INTPs, obviously we use extrovert feeling, which is our feeling function is our lowest function. Which obviously comes across as there's the stereotype that INTPs are quite cold and stuff. Well, we're obviously not, but we're not very emotionally expressive.
I think you need another person to be more emotionally expressive because I find INTPs do respond well if somebody gives them like approval and a very clear emotional reaction.
And that's obviously probably to do with our fee-seeking nature, isn't it? Or our extrovert feeling. See, that's the thing. Like a lot of INTPs, obviously, it's stereotyped that when we're totally against feelings, we can easily detach ourselves from feelings and stuff. And for the most part, we can. It's like you were just saying, if someone insults you or something, because of your introverted feeling, you can probably take that to heart, like thinking, like, how come they violated my
precious values,
my precious, my feels, you've hurt my feels. Whereas for INTPs, someone could call me a twat or something, and it wouldn't. And it wouldn't affect me. I suppose that's another stereotype that INTPs are the type least likely to give a fuck about anything.
You overthink little things. Like if somebody's emotional reaction is a bit ambiguous, or it could be taken either way, you won't really overthink it and get upset in that way. Like, what did they mean by that? What should I do now? What should I say? Yeah.
So I think for INTPs, when it comes to emotions, it's kind of all or nothing. And it's like for most, I suppose we are one of the types that is least emotionally expressive. And I suppose most other people's kind of emotional concerns wouldn't concern us, but it's the few things that we do care about in life, or perhaps something relating directly to the self, to like personal relationships and things like that, that can get us actually giving a fuck, I suppose, because most of the time I suppose we don't really care kind of thing about other people's feelings and emotions in that kind of sense, but our extroverted feeling kind of compels us to seek kind of emotional harmony with people, doesn't it? It seeks kind of an emotional connection with people, perhaps in a different way than introverted feelers do. But you're right about the sort of the validation aspect. I mean, INTPs definitely need. It's like I was reading. Did you ever see it on the Facebook groups? They got like these sarcastic. What do you call it? The functions. It shows the functions. And it gives sarcastic.
Vaguely remember
explanations of them. And I think for INTPs, for extroverted feeling, it was something like that kid at school that hates everyone but wants to be loved.
Oh.
And I think that's a very good description of extroverted feeling in INTPs. It's like we don't hate everyone, but we don't really like people. We're not people, but at the same time we kind of need people.
Yeah.
So that's where our kind of emotional.
I think INTPs do thrive when they're around people who are more in touch and comfortable with emotions and displays of emotion, and they're very good at influencing the mood.
Yeah, like extrovert feelers.
Or it's like a person who can get you to be really happy and raise your emotional condition. Because I think an INTP wants to do that, but finds it hard to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And
finds it hard to get that out of people.
Yeah.
It's like most people I know, most of my friends and family are not extrovert feelers, so they don't have the extroverted feeling function. Like INFJs, ENFJs, they all have extroverted feeling, which is what INTPs seek, or what we kind of need. Most of my friends and family are sort of introverted feelers, so I suppose in some ways it can make me sort of crave just a little bit of validation. It's like Laura. And then when and then as soon as we, but I mean I do find that quite often sometimes. Like you just kind of, it's not even like you need to talk to someone, but you just need someone to kind of confirm your existence.
Yeah.
Like you just need a friend or someone just to kind of acknowledge you, and that's just getting a little bit of extrovert feeling fix, which is definitely what we INTPs
My family is full of FE, so yeah, my mum's an ESFJ,
so you're overwhelmed by
my younger sister's. I'm
ENFP,
pretty sure I think she's ENFJ. She seemed ENFP as she was growing up. It's hard with children. And then she hit her teen years, and then she was trying on different identities every week for size.
Yeah,
and then she's nearly 17 now, and I was about 17 when I got into MBTI. And I think like her personality is becoming more fixed now. I see a lot of FE in her. Yeah, she's ENFJ.
ENFJ.
Yeah.
Another thing which I actually spoke to you about this the other day is that for INTPs, that I suppose our main concern in life would be like truth, I suppose, or I suppose that comes down to our TI as being logically consistent. We're knowledge seekers, we're truth seekers, fact seekers. We want things to make sense. And I suppose the stereotype for INFPs, or from what I understand, is that they're kind of meaning driven. They're very driven by things wanting to make sense, and this is why generally quite a lot of INFPs tend to be quite spiritual people. They tend to be into spirituality, and they're very sort of interested generally in sort of esoteric, metaphysical sort of things as a kind of a way of, I don't know, getting that kind of meaning.
I suppose I'm quite spiritual in a very emotional way without realising it. Because when I think of spiritual, I think of people sitting cross-legged and meditating. And a hippie commune or something. But I always think about purpose and meaning. I feel like I need purpose in life, a moral purpose. And I think INFPs are always looking for a cause, almost. I don't know how to explain it because it's not something I really think about because it feels so natural to me. But I've been told before that I'm quite deep and spiritual in an emotional way, in the way I think about emotions and the sort of advice I give to people about your like emotional journey and emotional growth and all that stuff. I think it's a lot about like self-improvement with INFPs and like
that's what I've read about.
Yeah.
Same for INTPs, we're always trying to we feel, I suppose INTPs feel like we're kind of working towards something.
Yeah, it's the same for us but in a different way. Yeah.
I think for me it's more working towards some sort of objective truth kind of thing. You know, like we're trying to find
I think
purpose.
I'm trying to work
and
towards an ideal world where everyone is just really nice to each other and it's sunshine and rainbows.
Cookies and
Care
rainbows.
Bears.
But yeah. Anything else you want to add, or should we?
I'd like you to let me go now so I can go back to my family and call the police.
Get back to life and get rid of this stalker. Yeah,
I think that we've covered a lot of things, but I'm sure people will have things to say, mainly that you're not INFP, you have ISFJ eyes or something stupid.
Yeah.
You dare say that? That really annoys me.
Yeah, I mean, as I said,
you don't dress like an INFP.
Yeah. I mean, I said for the longest time you thought you were an INFJ, didn't you? I thought you were an INFJ, and then I mean, I was.
It's the more appealing type out of the two.
it's like I'd much rather be INFP than INFJ, so I'll just say I'm an INFP. So there's one of them. But I mean, I was a little bit surprised when you came to the conclusion you were an INFP, only because my own experiences with INFPs.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it does. I mean, as I said, you don't have to fit all the stereotypes. It's another common misconception about MBTI is the functions and all the stereotypes. It's just more how certain types are inclined to behave. You know, the functions are descriptive in nature.
All of it's all your preferences and the way you process information. It doesn't necessarily mean me and another INFP are going to be carbon copies of each other because it depends on your culture. Sometimes it's your gender, your sexuality, where you've been brought up. There's a lot of things that are higher than typology, and I think people forget that and think you must be this, and this, or nothing.
So that's the problem, I suppose, with stereotypes. At the same time, that you can't really describe what the functions are without using stereotypes. So it's a bit of a, but the functions and all the stereotypes, they're just descriptive in nature. You know, the descriptions of how we tend to behave, how things that we like. I'm a stereotypical INTP in many ways, but then in other ways I'm not. I'm not into certain things that INTPs are into. But as a general rule, I suppose you probably fit a lot of the stereotypes of whatever type you are in MBTI. But it by no means means that you're definitely or that you're not that type just because you don't.
I think because we found out about typology relatively young, like I think I was in my late teens. I mean, you were quite young as well. That's given us a head start. I think we've both used it in a good way to understand ourselves, and because it is it's meant to be used as a tool, not a means of categorisation. And like I've looked at it in terms of I know that my weakness is that I'm very sensitive, and I find it hard not to be so sensitive.
So once
how can I work on it? Once you've got the problem, you know what the solutions you could try. And I think a lot of people who fit the stereotypes, it's because they're unhealthy. A lot of stereotypes are unhealthy, especially like in Enneagram. Like, some people don't believe I'm a 6 because I'm not really defensive or really cowardly, because I know what my weaknesses are. I've really read up on Enneagram and followed the book and everything, and it's like unless you're quite unhealthy in a real stereotype, there's never really any consensus on your type. I find everyone's like, but you do this and my INFP friend doesn't do that, and my INFP friend isn't as good as me, that's why.
It's like I know an INTP at work, and he's quite he's very similar to me in many ways, but he's quite different in other ways. He's better at certain things than I am, and probably better at certain things than he is. So the moral of the story is don't follow the stereotypes. So
I don't have anything else to say, and I don't know how to end these things. On my videos I'm like, I'm just going to go now, bye, and I don't know what to do. Bye.
I think Laura makes videos as well. I'll post a link to,
if you want to watch somebody going I don't know what to say now, for about 10 minutes, then by all means watch them. I wonder if anybody's fell asleep. Because if I said stop, I
might make it in 2 parts. I don't know. I'll just put it on that one.
And make loads of trailers. Part 2 coming soon.
Part 2, put like little notations where people.
We'll have to
links.
make like little things, like pretend we're an action movie and stuff.
Like
and then
pow and all.
Yeah, do some fancy Windows Movie Maker transitions.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So if they're there, if they're not, they're not. So, right, see you later, everyone.
Bye.